As you see us two sad boys who have had really bad football teams this year try to debate whose team's been worse, probably the hardest job one could get in this day and age.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia and a Locked On Oklahoma State crossover. And here we are, Cody, two sad cats driving the struggle bus.
That's right.
Yours is coming from Okie State, Stillwater, and I'm coming from Morgantown. And we're going to meet somewhere. What we're going to talk about, guys, is obviously whose team sucks worse right now. We're having fun with this. Obviously, we're not making fun of anybody specific. We're just having fun with the topics. Whose fourth-string quarterback is better or worse? And basketball, save us, please. It seems like we both got a shot in the arm from our basketball programs over the last week and a half, Cody. So what's your response to my opening soliloquy?
Well, I will say I may not be a master debater like yourself, sir, but we do not like being called Okie Light. We like being I don't mind being called an Okie. I proudly call myself an Okie, but there is a negative connotation to Okie Light. Just to throw that out there. Secondarily, yes, we received a shot in the arm with basketball, which we absolutely needed. I think both of us, had some semblance of reservation in certain areas coming into the season, but I don't think either of us, with Mike Gundy and Rich Rod being in charge, thought we would be in this particular predicament that we are in now. So it is what it is. And in the Army, they taught us to embrace the suck. That's what football season has been. So that's all I've been doing, is just embracing the crap out of it, because there's a decent amount to embrace.
So let's just dive into this, man. Obviously, both of these teams have been really bad this year. I think West Virginia obviously has the best win between the two teams at Pitt. The backyard brawl win. The Pitt's 4-2. I would say they're a pretty competent team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think West Virginia has gotten worse over the last few weeks, and Oklahoma State's actually improved.
Yeah.
So what do you think about – do you think Oklahoma started out worse and is getting better? Like, it's like markedly looking a little better, and West Virginia's gotten worse? Or what is your take on this?
I do think that I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you've had injuries at key positions, as has Oklahoma State. But the shot in the arm we received was actually moving on from Mike Gundy. It does seem like the backups that weren't getting playing time the first few weeks, they're gelling together better than the starters were. And I think a large portion of that is just battling for one another a little bit more. They all understand that they're playing for their jobs. Their coaches are coaching for their jobs. Some of them are
for next year.
Yeah, right. Some of them are going to want to overperform to stay at Oklahoma State. Some are going to want to overperform to hope that their coach gets to stay. And I think that is the rallying cry right now in the locker room. And that's why you're seeing a differentiation between us two. Is I feel like there was a lot of high expectations to some degree in Morgantown, especially after you beat Pitt, that, you're just in a different situation than Oklahoma State at the moment.
Yeah, they're two totally different situations. You guys are ending a almost 2-decade run with the same coach, and we are literally replacing Neil Brown, who at best won 9 games, but mostly was mediocre. It wasn't horrible ever at West Virginia.
Right.
It was always like 6 wins, 7 wins, but everybody left, and it was 81 new players. You guys were trying to adapt to the new portal era. We were just getting a roster literally straight from the portal, 81 guys. So I think it's probably the best way to put it, in my opinion, is these are both ways you can fail in today's portal, right? You can have a big turnover like we did, where you lose a bunch of guys and you have to replace an entire roster. That can happen with the coach that's staying on. That doesn't have to be a coaching change.
Right.
And also in your situation, you can have the old grizzled veteran and Mike Gundy, who, and I'm going to get into this just a little bit. You mentioned it several times, the Ohio State guys, the LSU guys, the Power 4 transfers you brought in that everybody drank the Kool-Aid of. a guy like Mike Gundy probably felt like, well, we're paying these guys. We got to play them. That's got to be some of it.
See, I actually don't think that was a Mike Gundy thing. And I think
Maybe not.
I think you can look directly to the Oregon game, right? Him having the conversations about us spending $7 million combined over the last few seasons. That's not even close to true. So, and the more digging that you do, it does really seem that Mike Gundy actually had no idea how much this roster cost. So Mike Gundy legitimately felt like that we're underachieving when it comes to NIL. He probably should have done some more digging and found out that actual number before presenting that information. That leads me to believe that as far as this roster was put together, Mike Gundy actually didn't have a ton of say in it.
Yeah, that's maybe even worse, though. I mean, look, I don't know how much of a defender you are right now, because it seems like in the wake of it all, you kind of wanted to defend him some more than you did before he left, actually, from what I've seen of your shows, because I've caught a lot of your shorts. But I do think that what's the word they use? Negligence, right? There's some negligence here. Like, how do you not know? Like, I understand you didn't even want to deal with that side of it. You told me himself he would rather get punched in the throat than deal with the donor outside.
Yeah.
Yep. But at the same time, that's why you're losing. So you either hate losing or you hate donors. You tell me you hate donors worse than losing? Because I promise you, Rich Rodriguez doesn't. He's willing to get on his knees and beg them, like he's pretty well is already. And we are going to get what we need, but we're going to still be behind, I think, even after that.
Yeah, I think Mike Gundy you could call it a failure to launch. As soon as this NIL transfer portal era came together, and he said it out of his own mouth, he didn't think that it would be a long-term ordeal. He thought that it would be a few seasons of everybody paying a bunch of money. And I think if you go back and look, basically when Quinn Ewers left the state of Texas to go be an Ohio State Buckeye, it was widely talked about that was just a money grab. Quinn Ewers was going to go there at 17 years old, make a ton of money, and then end up where he wanted to be anyways. I think because of that, Mike Gundy assumed that there was going to be a lot of parameters put on it by the NCAA, and it was never going to be a thing, right? And then so we didn't invest in a roster until this season. And by then, it was basically trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. We were very depleted from a talent perspective for whatever reason. The guys that were the most talented on the roster either A, didn't get to play very much, or B, they ended up transferring. I mean, if you look at now, Isaiah Glass is killing it at Vanderbilt, Jason Queso Brooks at Houston, Lyric Rawls at KU, Boogie Johnson. We've got
some of that too
in the program go, and we didn't fill the coffers very well. And that is a shortfall, and I think a mistake in Mike Gundy's approach to this entire ordeal.
Yeah. Obviously with us, it's pretty simple. I mean, you had to replace your top 9 offensive linemen from the year before. When you come in, you thought at least 3 or 4 of these guys were going to stay, that were going to be heavy playing time / starters, and a couple from the Neil Brown regime, which had built up a really quality offensive line room. And unfortunately, those guys in the offensive line coach went to Virginia Tech. It is what it is there, but you have to go hit the portal and try to fix it, right? And then all of a sudden, you're not only do you get now, we're down to our 5th quarterback this week. Even though Scotty Fox was higher up on the depth chart than that. We're out. We have 4 quarterbacks that are out this week. We have 4 running backs that are out this week. That's not normal. And next man up is one thing. That usually, second team guy, third team guy at worst in a spot. You normally don't get to your 4th or 5th team guy. Those guys are usually play 10 or 15 snaps for 4 games and then redshirt. So,
well, dude, surely you guys have a wide receiver that played a ton of quarterback growing up. Just go that route, okay? It may not.
We do have a couple.
It may not work for wins, but it gives you a more adequate product. At least that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, I think somebody made a joke on one of your underneath your comments I saw there the other day. Isn't this the team that's got the guy that retired from football that came back out of retirement, starting at quarterback? I
Yeah,
was like,
he was at this time last year. He was playing flag football at UCF. Yeah, that's our next quarterback in line. But hey, I gotta save some of it for tomorrow. But I think Oklahoma State fans are going to be happy sometime in the next 3 weeks.
what do you think about this comment? Historically speaking, WVU and Oklahoma State should be running this conference.
I'd be honest with you. I'm a little perplexed by it to some degree. I think that if you were to talk about somebody that came into the league with a lot of mystique and allure, that would probably have been Utah. As much as I hate to say it, I can't stand 85% of their fan base, but they did win 2 Pac-12 titles very recently. They were able to take down USC. They were able to take down Oregon multiple times. And yes, historically, the only team in the conference in the last 20 years that won more ball games than Oklahoma State was OU. So as soon as OU left, Oklahoma State should have been in that upper echelon. I think you could have reasonably.
That's what I said.
You should have expected Utah to be there. And what I will say in regards to that, right? If Rich Rod would have never left, then probably West Virginia would be the cornerstone of the Big 12, right? If he would have not left the first time, when things were rolling and you had multiple Heisman level and Biletnikoff level dudes on that roster, I think if y'all could have kept that rolling, then I do wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about over 100 years, then yeah, we probably do have more history than. Maybe everybody. We do have.
Historically, you guys blow us out of the water 73 ways from Sunday, buddy.
Right, but that doesn't matter though in this day and age. It's not what they're picking teams to go to the conferences for. Literally, I think when it comes down to it, as of right now, we can all agree Texas Tech has positioned themselves to be the next team plucked for now, or BYU, right? Or
Bro, don't let Utah fans hear you say that.
Well, I mean, they've not really. I mean, haven't proven anything yet, have they?
No,
they've been good so far this year, but
dude, Utah fans were saying that they were too good for the Big 12 before they even got here.
Come on, man. Yeah, I mean, look, what are they, 4-8 or 9 or 10 or something since they got to the league, and the only good team they played this year they've lost to. So I don't know. I do think that they have a lot of I think this team is actually good that they have this year. They just ran into a BYU team at home that was just a little better. But yeah, certainly I think they're going to be a tough out the rest of the year, and maybe they are in the conversation. But yeah, they're definitely. We're not even going to go down that road, dude. I had them. They were coming after me hardcore here recently. So yeah, because I had all the BYU videos going and. So,
dude, I have learned so far that the only thing that Utah fans are hardcore about is being on Twitter. That's as hardcore as Utah country gets.
Speaking of hardcore,
they're the type of people that wouldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag if they started with a samurai sword. That's what I think of Utah.
Oh yeah. Like, I don't know, man. We don't have to get too deep into it, but I was just raised to. Any altercation I've ever had, I mean, my dad made sure it was a face-to-face kind of altercation. I wasn't allowed to call somebody and try to resolve it. Like, I was made to go talk to them, right? And then if it escalated from there, then fine. I'm not saying everything has to result in violence, but I'm just saying, like I told a guy the other day, well, I'm going to be at the TCU game. So, I mean, if you really hate me that much,
bro, we could
come holler at me, I guess.
We could talk for hours about how many people I've offered to buy beers to meet me in Stillwater.
Let's just have a conversation. Why do you hate me or what I talk about so much? Fine. I mean,
say all this fun stuff to me and we can have a conversation about it. But magically, it never happens.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're anonymous. And if they meet me, then they're not anonymous anymore, right? That means I can figure out where you work and all that. And then when you say really dumb things like we don't even need to go any further because I've seen the people laughing about people that die and just different crazy things, So it's just like, come on, man, let's go break on this.
Yeah, that is pretty. It's a pretty wild time that we all live on, and unfortunately, I think that the external factor of social media does give people a false sense of security.
Yeah, listen, everybody leaves a digital footprint, and I think the guy that made those comments there a couple weeks ago about what was it? I can't remember exactly what it was, but he made some threats on the internet. And if the right people find out who that is, or just who made that comment, they can immediately find you if they want to. So it's like there's services you can pay for to make that happen as well. If you really,
I view it the same. I view it the same way as getting into a bar fight, right? Okay. I'm old enough now to say back in my day, getting into a bar fight wasn't that big of a deal because 9 times out of 10, you just go out back and you handle it and you buy each other a beer and you go on about your business. But this fun thing called MMA and UFC got super popular. So now if you go start a bar fight, you don't have any flipping clue who you're starting a bar fight with.
That's
so
true.
I have now learned in my older age that it's just not it's not as appealing anymore. But the Twitter world doesn't seem to understand that. And it is what it is. And I think, again, that is a microcosm of why Utah fans act the way they act. And actually, all of a sudden now Texas Tech fans are starting to act as pretentious as Utah. I don't know where that came from or
just
why that started.
Taste of success, man. That's all it takes.
That's it. That's what it has to be. Like, I'm so happy that Arizona State got that dub because, and on the squad shows, I've been hooting and hollering about Texas Tech as much as anybody, if not more than everybody. But all week leading up to the Arizona State game, all I saw from Texas Tech fans were how they wish they weren't in this conference and they can't wait to be out of this conference. And it stinks that they have to hold this conference up and there's nobody else in this league that can compete with them. And now they understand what Utah fans are always complaining about the Big 12 because they don't want to be here anymore because they're too good for it too. And then they lose to Arizona State. That poetic justice was so freaking priceless. I almost said a curse word.
You think that'll learn after how Chris Level was treated, right? I mean, come on, man. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Level was quite literally bullied, his family and everything. People went after. It's just crazy over football opinions. Let's go to break, man. Fourth string quarterbacks is what we're down to here. It's maybe fifth string, depends on how you look at it. Whose is better or worse?
Maybe Monarch Money. Monarch Money can help us find a new QB.
Maybe it's just Monarch. Remember, we gotta change the name. Or did you not get the email? Yeah, they changed the name. It's just Monarch now. We'll talk about it next. Oh God. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia and Locked On Oklahoma State crossover is going to be brought to you by just Monarch.
Just Monarch.
Changed it. Yep, they don't want to be Monarch Money anymore.
Okay,
they're just Monarch. For some reason. So I can't find the banner for it, but that's fine. Let's be honest. Most of us can't name even all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track. That can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, get a better handle on investments without having too much to say about a spreadsheet. Don't even have to touch one. Don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks for you. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com with the code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. And what about them boys at FanDuel? Right now with FanDuel, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet $5 that'll make you holla, and you can get $300 in bonus bets. That's if you win. But right now, you just pick a bet, put down $5 buckaroos, and if it hits, you unlock $300 to bets to use across the app. I actually love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built a parlay. You can do player props. You can follow live lines during games. So many ways to win. Why aren't you winning right now with FanDuel? And what are you waiting for? If you visit FanDuel.com today and download the FanDuel app, you too can get started. And of course, we're in segment 2. I don't have a do because I quit drinking dew. But we're going to crack a hypothetical do and jump into another conversation with Cody Stovall, Locked On Oklahoma State. Did you see it? Did you text me and say I put up the wrong background? Are we supposed to?
No, you fixed it. You fixed it.
Oh.
You fixed it.
Oh, okay,
You're good.
gotcha.
You're good to carry on. Yes,
My phone lit up just now while I was looking down.
Whose 4-string QB is better? I mean, you could actually, for us, all right, you could talk about whose wide receiver that can throw the football is better. But the irony of all of this is, buddy, is, so obviously after the spring, right, coming into the fall, we lost both quarterbacks that had significant playing time in Milo Smith and Garrett Rangel. And then we decide that it's going to be Haas Haney, and then Haas Haney gets hurt and breaks his foot. And then it's Zane Flores. And then Zane Flores is somewhat ineffective, but somewhat ineffective is underselling it. Zane Flores was very ineffective. Mm-hmm. And we had Trent Howland, a running back, throwing passes. Sam Jackson, the fifth, throwing the passes. Shamar Rigby, another wide receiver, is throwing passes. So everybody that has touched the football in the backfield for Oklahoma State has thrown a touchdown, except for our second-string quarterback, who has multiple starts now. That is the state of Cowboy football the entirety of this season. That is where we are. And obviously you guys are in a similar boat, maybe having to turn to a freshman because you don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice, as a matter of fact. So it's been a weird ride for us. Obviously, Nico Marchiol, who he had a really nice run against Oklahoma State, where he ran over one of your best players, Mark Rucker, and on a run where that's the kind of mobility we thought he was going to have.
Yeah.
And then the season started and he didn't have it. And we didn't know why. We just thought, well, we know he put on a little bit of weight, and we thought maybe that made him just slow enough to where he can't escape pressure and run this read option offense, because Nico is a dual threat guy. Like, it's not he's not a guy that can just get yards with his legs here and there. He's been known as a dual threat guy his whole career, and now all of a sudden you can't run. And then it comes out, well, he's got a foot injury and he's seeking second opinion. Not the West Virginia doctors, though. It's in Colorado, but now it's in Arizona. He's looking all these different places, and then he's shut down. And then I started being told he's not coming back, and then that came out finally. And that was a wild ride. And I have a lot of questions about that, but it's too many to do on this one segment. Long story short is, what type of foot injury is it, right? I don't know. We don't think anybody does right now. Is it a broken foot, or is it turf toe, which is basically the tendon that connects in the bottom of your foot, which is just, if you ever had a foot cramp, it's really painful like that, except scaled up. Or and how long did he have it, right? Did he have it from the beginning of the year and not tell anybody? Did the coaches know about it, still starting? There's so many questions about it. Nevertheless, he got these starts. And then we beat Pitt. Even though we benched him, he came back in and won the game. It was great. We loved it.
Yeah.
Coach Rod gave one of the greatest post-game ESPN things ever after that. We got a lot of grit. It was great. And that's the last high moment we had this year. And we turned to Jalen at Kansas. That went very badly, very quick. And then it's been a rotation ever since then. The only guy that hasn't gotten to play is Max Brown. He was in on one play, made a great play, hurdled somebody, and then hurt his foot badly. From what I understand, he's just going to be healthy enough to be an emergency this week. And we're down to one quarterback from what I understand right now. So our Khalil Wilkins, who played well against BYU, that can run around, hurt, and won't play unless it's an emergency role this week. Max Brown, who transferred in from Florida, won't play this week unless it's an emergency role likely. And our young true freshman, Scotty Fox, gets the nod for the second week in a row. They haven't been able to protect him, Scotty. We have the worst offensive line in Power 4 football by the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, this is another instance where we are trending in completely opposite directions. Our offensive line last year was the worst in the Big 12 by far. We may have been the worst O-line in the country last season. And the beginning of this year, right? This is partially why Haas Haney got hurt, because the offensive line was, as Charles Barkley would say, terrible.
Terrible.
It was terrible. And then magically you fire a coach, and then you fire another coach, and then you have a coach leave, and then you upgrade this intern dude, and you upgrade this other intern dude. And all of a sudden you have guys in the portal, and you have guys going down with injuries. So now you're having to upgrade your 2s and your 3s and your scout team dudes, and they're magically playing better than the starters. Like for the life of me, I cannot understand that we made a depth chart this year and we paid these dudes millions and millions of dollars to make this depth chart when clearly the second and third stringers are better than the starters, and it's not even flipping close. This is the problem with NIL. Mike Gundy not knowing how much money we put into NIL, that's a little bit of a problem. But when you do invest in NIL and you invest in the wrong dudes, and then it's very visible that the guys not making the money are the ones who actually give a shit, and the ones who show up on time, the ones who stay late, do the extra work, do the extra film. Those are the players that still believe that Oklahoma State means more than the name on the back. And it's so crazy in this NIL era that we have lost that foundational building block that every team in the country, not named Alabama, used to all have. In West Virginia, even if you go back and you talk about the Steve days and the Austin days, that was a bunch of 2-star dudes for the most part that got built up through the program that believed in what they were doing. They believed in Pat White. They believed in winning titles.
Zach Alley had a press conference today, and he said, the problem about it is, and I was actually going to do a show on this topic, but I'll touch on it now for a moment. He said what it is like, when you first start over a team, you want to get experience in at the very least. You want to bring in seniors so that you can, even though you're teaching a different language, they know the language of football, and you don't have to teach them as much. And but unfortunately, what you run into, and you don't find out until it's too late, these guys have heard sometimes 2, maybe 3 other voices like yours in the past. And unfortunately, they're hired guns. And so they're not playing for the name on the front of the jersey, like you said. And so that's why things are so just exactly what you just said, Zach. I've actually got the timestamp written down and everything because I was going to play the clip where he talks about this. Basically, that's what we run into this year. We've got some guy. He said on the second play of the game versus UCF, they counted 6 loafs. On the second play of the game, 6 loafs.
Wait, one of y'all's dudes?
Yeah, on defense, the second play of the game, they said they counted 6 loafs, 6 guys loafing. That is not going to work under Rich Rodriguez and Zach Alley. It's just not. For any coaching staff, but this coaching staff, because of how we've always had to recruit, 2- and 3-star guys, prides itself on being even higher standard than your typical coach. And I'm not trying to be that guy. It's like but we have to be more effort, more tough.
Yep.
Like we literally have to be, or we have no inherent advantage.
Yep.
So, 6 guys loafing is just not going to work. And the thing is like, it's these dudes you paid money to, right? Like I've called him out the last 2 weeks. Jamori Robinson, you know how excited I was about him. We had 12 sacks. We were leading the country at one point in time in sacks after Pitt, and he hadn't even played yet.
Right.
You couldn't have, I would have bet all of my money that our pass rush was going to get better, and we haven't had a sack since then. We had 6 sacks against Pitt, a powerful offensive line, and haven't had a sack in the game since then. You telling me that Kansas is that much better than Pitt? No, I don't think so. There's something else is going on, man. And a lot of it has to do with, disparity is hit. Not disparity, but, what's the word I'm looking for? Not disparity.
Well, if there's a disparity between the next guy up and the guy that was supposed to be there.
Right.
Right. No, I understand. There is a correlation.
Adversity, not disparity, but adversity hit, and these guys have given up.
I think you can go with disparity. There's a disparity in the defensive line from when they didn't have him available to when they now do have him available. Right. And again, I think that it could be another thing that you can drill into. Being good at NIL, it's great, it's cool, but if you don't have the right coaches getting the most out of it, then it doesn't matter how much money that you spend, right? Jimbo Fisher, the culture became a problem, so the money didn't matter.
Correct.
I think if you look at what's happening down in Florida, The money's not a problem, but culturally, there's a little bit of an issue. You look at Oklahoma State right now.
Florida
Mike
State.
Gundy had no clue. We have a $14 million roster. But
Did you ever
because
think
we
UCF
lost
and
the roster-
USF would be better than Florida State and Florida?
Yeah, there's right, and there's no chance that Alex Golesh has that kind of money. So it was about
No.
identifying the right players to get in and keeping them there and building that investment level. So yeah, in today's age of college football, you have to have NIL money, but it shouldn't be for an entire roster. It should be to go get an offensive tackle and a defensive tackle and a quarterback. It's to go get 10, 15 players. If you have to get 20 to 60 players,
You're really struggling there on culture.
nobody's pulled it off. I mean,
Yeah.
you are not Utah.
If you look at last year's team, I think LSU was the only one that had 20 or more in the playoff.
gotcha.
The only one out of everybody. Everybody else had less. You know what I mean? Like Ohio State had 12, right? Like it's all about. And the thing is like, and that's why people were throwing a fit because Rich Rod said, "Listen, we're going to bring in 35 high school recruits next year. We have to, and then we'll just pay them to stay.
Yeah,
It's going to take longer.
Correct. Yes,
It's
Mhm.
going to take longer,
Yep.
and hopefully people can be patient. And you're going to lose a guy here and there that's just upper echelon, most likely.
right.
But for the most part, you can do it like you used to do it that way because they're choosing to come to West Virginia off the jump, and they're only hearing one voice across multiple years.
Yeah,
So the culture will be the culture, but just because they do what you ask them to do every day, rather than transferring in 3 years in.
so somebody says that
You need to be a
you're-
quarterback. Yeah, I saw that.
Well, no, I was going to say, I don't think you guys want a Friends University wide receiver playing quarterback at the Power 4 level. But the DeVries toes thing, that's funny, bro. That's pretty funny. I'm assuming he's referring to Tucker. Maybe Darian, but does Darian have toe problems as well? That would be interesting.
No,
to find
Tucker had
out.
the shoulder thing, though. Obviously, you
Oh,
know,
okay. Fair play.
Tucker had a
and then-
a phantom shoulder injury.
Vextex here. It worked for 2 decades for Navy. Yeah, but that's way different. And I can revert back to my friends Falcons on this one because Friends runs that style of offense. And I can tell you from being a dude that ran some scout team stuff in college, you can't prepare for that. There is no
No.
way. It is
It's an
physically
execution
impossible.
thing.
Nobody has a scout team that can get your starters ready for that kind of attack. That's why
Right.
every single year, even when they weren't all that great, the service academies are always knocking off a Division I Power 4 team, and it's not necessarily because
And they're
of talent.
older.
I mean, yeah,
Their guys are older too.
you need them to be talented, but it's all about preparation. You cannot prepare for that attack as much as you want to. The only way that
Yeah.
you could pull it off is if you had a bunch of starters that were running your scout team, and that doesn't exist. So you can't prepare for an offense like that.
No, and like I say all the time, Rich Rodriguez says, look, you know, like Rich Rod tells a story where he ran the same play 28 times in one game because he couldn't stop it. It's an execution thing,
Okay.
right?
I'm
If
assuming
I can
that's-
out execute you, Jimmy's and Joe's matter more than X's and O's almost every time.
I see. I go back and forth on that
Well, I mean, it just
because we've
depends.
got a bunch of Jimmys and Joes, but we don't have. Well, until we fired people, the X's and O's portion was not aligning.
Yeah, but those guys are just 1 year into your culture. You know, that's what Zach Alley was getting into. You've heard so many different voices, and sometimes you're like, I mean, I get the coach wants this technique, but I've heard this coach teach it this way, and it's easier and hard, you know, and I'm usually in this spot, and I got to pick in this game here in this spot for that, and it's just too much, man. And I think especially when you're not having success, it's easy for them to doubt the coaching pointers they're given and all that. So let's really quickly go to one more break and talk about basketball, man, and a little positive ending to this. We'll be right back.
Yay!
We're both excited about this.
Yay!
Yay! I poop in Hawaii. All right, this episode of Locked On West Virginia, Locked On Oklahoma State crossover is going to be brought to you by Game Time, guys. With Game Time, it's a pretty simple thing. For three. Game Time does what you want when you need it, and there's a reason for that. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. You got those endless queues, you got hidden fees, you got prices jumping up at checkout. That's why I use Game Time. The app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to explore last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. The app is made super simple, and I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I brought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase where the terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. You too can swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Game Time today, and then ask yourself the question of all questions. What time is it?
Game time.
It's game time. You know, it's funny. They took that out of the read like 6 months ago, and I still say it every time. What time is it? It's game time. I don't know why they took it out of there. I think it's great. You know, that's that Ray Lewis quote. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What dog's in the house? Woo, woo. Anyway,
I appreciate the Jordan references.
yeah, absolutely. So, Oklahoma State did a thing. They some Final Four team last year. Yeah, I mean, sure. Is Mr. Pearl's son, Stephen Pearl, taking over? Sure. Might they not be as good as last year? Maybe. They're pretty dang good still. And you guys beat the tar out of them. Well, you beat them.
There you go.
In a scrimmage type exhibition. It was everybody watched it. It was awesome, dude. Steve Lutz got something cooking?
It definitely looks like it. And the most beautiful part of that game is the fact that we put up 97 points, which is something
I saw
haven't
that.
been able to do a lot of the last 6-7 years. And even on top of that, we put up 97 points, right? We beat it doesn't matter that they don't have Bruce Pearl anymore, in my personal opinion. They're still supposed to be better than Oklahoma State at basketball, whenever Oklahoma State has been a horrendous representation of themselves for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So we scored 97 points. We do it without multiple starters, at least 2 starters, potentially even 3 or the 6th man up. They weren't available for this ball game. So we have Isaiah Coleman drop 28 points. Anthony Roy drops 28 points. Jalen Curry drops 23 points. And we're missing 2 of our most key contributors in Kanye Cleary, who averaged 16.7 points a game at Penn State. And then Christian Coleman, the UAB transfer, was set to be a massive piece, who we had to fend off a lot of SEC-style schools to keep him in the portal. Then we have Ryan Crotty, the consensus 4-star that shoots over 42% from the three-point line. He got to play.
I like Parsa as well. I thought he was a great ad.
Yeah, and that Oregon State transfer, we've got multiple big dudes. We've got Daniel Guetta, the Israeli guard transfer. And the beauty of when you get guys like Leptis Montezoukas and Daniel Guetta over from Greece and Israel is they're grown men. They've been playing grown men as professionals for years. So I don't know how this whole thing works with the NCAA giving these dudes college 4-year degree opportunities after playing 4 or 5 years of professional ball, but I don't give a crap. Whatever the bylaw is or the loophole or the fine print, give me more of it, because Oklahoma State has a bunch of them, and it looks like it's going to keep us competitive throughout the course of the season. We may not have a true 7-foot presence quite yet, but we've got enough guys to bang down low and give us enough rebounds to get the shooters rocking and rolling, which is something we have not seen. We haven't seen offensive output since Kate Cunningham and Avery Anderson, buddy. You could say Javon Small gave us some offensive output, but it didn't equal wins, so it's kind of forgotten about.
Yeah. He's probably going to be the best player that never went to the NCAA tournament. He's crushing it in the NBA right now, by the way. Like, he's a starter right away. It's too bad because he's a winning guard. I could go on and on about Javon Small, how good he actually is, and he improved once he got to West Virginia. He took another step for whatever reason. Maybe it's the degree system. But anyway, you know, one last thing on you guys. We'll go to West Virginia. Anthony Roy, 42 minutes, 5 of 10 from 3, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, 12 rebounds in that game as 6'5" guard. So that's pretty impressive against the frontline Auburn team that is really big and physical. So was Auburn all the way? Was they all there too, or were they missing anybody in the game?
Oh yeah, dude. I actually talked to Zach Blackerby just a couple hours ago, and we talked about that game. Everyone that you talk to, it doesn't matter who, honestly, even the announcers were talking about it. That was not ran like an exhibition game. It wasn't coached like one. They were
It was
calling
intense.
they were actually calling multiple timeouts and dwindling down to the last minute. The rotations, everything was very, very intense. And I'll say it the way Zach said it to me. If you would have just put that game on a TV screen or on YouTube and said that this is a March Madness matchup, nobody in the country would have thought otherwise.
Right.
And that is, again, one of the biggest reasons why we have excitement in Stillwater is because it's a real win. People around the country that didn't watch it, what are they going to say, Paul? They're going to say, look at Oklahoma State getting all excited about an exhibition game.
Well,
yeah, right? But if you watched it and you can take into consideration that Auburn has more talent than we do. They have more NIL than we do. They have more resources than we do. They still have Bruce Pearl on the sideline. His son Steven learned from him, which obviously is a legendary experience. Auburn has all of the makings of a team that should have beat Oklahoma State fairly easily. And not only did it not happen, but I'll give you the crescendo, Paul, is, we did it without a few key contributors. Yeah, we got 97 points, but the creme de la creme, buddy, we had 3 players foul out before overtime, and we still won the ball game.
That's a big time, bro. Hopefully you guys are good in basketball this year. Big 12 Conference needs it. And just like we need West Virginia to step up as well, as West Virginia had one of the most impressive – we like to take these with a grain of salt a little bit. Obviously, these performances – West Virginia beats a Maryland team that's got Buzz Williams coming in, who's an excellent coach, 95-73 in a secret scrimmage. And West Virginia brought in just some elite, I think West Virginia brought the best shooter in college basketball in Honor Huff. Most people agree with that. It's not like I'm just making some kind of crazy statement. He really was the best shooter last year, made over 123s last year for Chattanooga, and went 10 of 18 in this game from 3. Absolutely just destroyed 32 points in this game and is going to be a big-time contributor for the Mountaineers. Trey Eaglestaff, who put up 40 plus in Alabama, put up 51 in South Dakota State last year. He had 6 threes in this game, and they combined for almost 60 points in this game. So that's going to be a great duo the West Virginia to lean on. Harlan Obioha, the 7-footer that we brought in, has lost close to 40 pounds.
One more again. What's his name?
Harlan Obioha.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's definitely the energy guy.
Okay.
Of the team for sure. A lot of people are excited about him and their development for sure, because I think, we're in another year 1 build, and it's the 4th coach in 4 years, man. So for West Virginia, we just need this one to be the right one. And I think I really do. You hear it from everybody. So far, so good for Ross Hodge and company at West Virginia. They're really excited. And these are the highlights versus Maryland. They actually put them up, so we'll watch those really quick. But while we're sitting here, that's Eaglestaff. But there's them on. They're in the yellow shirts. That right there is Honor Huff. You got a great stroke. So we're excited about this brand of ball. It's a defensive-minded kind of team, but they have 40% or more three-point shooters on the roster, at least from last year.
Bro, please tell me that I think it should be a requirement, all right? If you're going to be the basketball coach at West Virginia, it should be a requirement that your defense be the top in the conference. And press Virginia stuff, dude, that was the coolest stuff in the world to watch. And what's funny is Buzz Williams did some of that at Marquette. Shaka Smart did that.
He's a Bob Huggins disciple.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, whenever y'all got away from that press Virginia thing, I was like, what is happening in Morgantown? And then Huggy Bear didn't last but a few weeks longer. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We had the number one portal class in the country that year. It was before we went, and we only spent like $4 million on them, because that was before it really exploded into what it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
What we were able to figure out that year, and then everybody else figured it out, was how to use the visas, how to get the overseas guys in and use the H-1 visas.
that's what it is. Okay.
Because they're not allowed to make millions of dollars in America. So what we were doing was Jay Kuntz, who is now at Pitt, had figured out, hey, look, I can take these dudes and get them NIL deals in their home country and get them. And nobody had caught on to that yet. And that's why we were able to bring a Jesse Edwards in from Syracuse, who was technically from the Netherlands, or a Jose Perez, who's technically from Dominican Republic. They're on visas. So
Got
very
it. Makes
interesting.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, Oklahoma State's in the same boat. And you mentioned Anthony Roy. I got to give a shout out to a friend of mine, a good friend of the show, who's been on multiple times. Doug Gottlieb, former Oklahoma State Cowboy, hooked us up because he sent us Anthony Roy from Green Bay after Anthony Roy came into Stillwater last year and dropped almost 30 on us. So obviously,
he sounds like a name that could do that too, Anthony Roy.
As soon as he left, Steve Lutz was texting Doug like, "Hey, he's good.
Probably gonna leave.
won't you, homie, hook up your alumni status real quick?"
Might as well.
And we got it, man. So shout out to my dude Doug for hooking us up with Anthony Roy.
Yeah, Jordan McKay was on that staff or no? I can't remember.
Don't
on Doug Gottlieb's stats, but then he got his own job or something. I can't remember anymore. McCabe used to play for West Virginia. I appreciate this, David. He said everything you guys talked about was the way he was raised, is exactly the way I was raised. I'm a BYU fan. I've always admired and loved West Virginia, Oklahoma State. Happy we're in the same conference with you. You see what I'm talking about with these people, man? Like,
BYU is the coolest fan base in the Big 12, not named Oklahoma State. I mean, dude, I have to admit, the way y'all get down, the night games, the burning couches, all of that, I love it. I need that in my life, just like I need tortillas being thrown. I don't need batteries or pocket knives, though. I could do without that.
Or TikTok dancing.
Or don't get me going on that. I have a player on our team that never mind. Yeah, man, it's pretty fun to see how BYU fans have ingratiated themselves with the conference. Whenever you see teams like Utah and now magically all of a sudden Texas Tech talking crap about the conference, it's nice to see somebody that is not only respectful about it, but appreciative. And that's why I think
to be here.
BYU is the type of school that'll be in the Big 12 till the wheels fall off, just because they are kind of old school. They
like it's a culture fit, right? All these college towns and everything we have. So, yeah, makes a lot of sense, Cody, thanks for coming on, man. Obviously, you're at Locked On Oklahoma State. We appreciate you for being here. We went over quite a bit, so we best jump out of here. Had a good discussion. I don't know if we solved any of these questions, but it was definitely fun to talk about.
We haven't solved a whole lot yet. This was more this was like the therapy session.
Yeah, trauma.
Yes, we're trauma bonding right now. And thankfully we're trauma bonding with a bunch of other folks. So that works.
Yeah, and if you guys want to trauma bond with Locked On Big 12 with Drake Toll, we would appreciate that as well. As he's, his numbers are skyrocketing right now. Let's just be honest. He just went over 40K subs. He's got a video that just did close to 100K.
Bro, I'm a firm believer that Drake and Level and Hatch are like cheat codes. So they don't even count.
Right.
I'm
with you, man. They're good.
But just in case, if you haven't already subscribed to both of our shows, go ahead and do that so Drake and Hatch and Level can keep their jobs.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's up for me. Obviously, do you guys have, what is the saying you guys have? Is it pistols firing, right?
Pistols firing. Okay. My saying is God bless Go Pokes. But
okay, well, there we go then. Until the next one, guys, God bless Go Pokes.
Yes,
and don't forget to cue those country roads.